Hello, everyone. My name is Jennifer, and for this week's discussion board, we were just supposed to consider the course reading and the different module or different podcasts and different modules just to discuss interactions we may have encountered or experienced with medical or primary care services during our field placements. Currently, I intern for the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs, which is also known as the VA. Currently, the VA is known to be like the largest healthcare system in the U.S., and that's because it's a federal-based healthcare system, which means that there are hospitals and VA clinics within all states in the United States. So what that means for me as a social work intern with the VA, they have a in-house network where everyone documents their notes. It's called CPRS. So when we need to communicate that a veteran is in need, maybe with behavioral health services or with their primary care, we can send them a message through Teams, which is also, I think, an Outlook app maybe. It's all protected through encryption. So if I needed to reach out to a behavioral health nurse, I could just send them a message on Teams. And then when I'm documenting the encounter in CPRS, I would also add whoever, whether it was the doctor, the primary, the nurse, or behavioral health, I would just add them as an additional signer to the note. And that way the professional would have that knowledge of the encounter that I had with the veteran and then what it is the veteran is requesting. This semester, I've had a little more experience with it as my supervisor has given me kind of my own caseload of veterans to meet with on a weekly basis. So I've actually had to use this quite a few times now since the start of the semester. The most recent, last week, I had a veteran who verbalized his desire to begin Vivitrol injections. He's had these injections before, however, he had missed his last scheduled appointment. So while I was documenting, my supervisor told me, he said, document the note in CPRS and then identify the behavioral health nurse at the Dover Clinic in the note so that way he can reach out to the veteran. So I also put the behavioral health nurse as an identified signer so that way his next day in office he would get an alert about this veteran and what he was requesting. And so this was on a Friday. That Monday the behavioral health nurse reached out, scheduled the appointment, and Tuesday the veteran was in the clinic getting his injection. So it was kind of nice to see how responsive that nurse was from that procedure. And that also goes with primary care physicians. I had another veteran come in to the clinic, talking with his primary care provider about his homelessness situation and how, he wasn't getting resources. However, I have already communicated with this veteran about resources available and how we could help him. So the doctor was able to go into the veteran's chart, see that, I had contact with him. And then the doctor sent me a message to follow up with this veteran to ensure that, he did indeed have these resources. And that way, the doctor knew he was doing his due diligence as it related to the veteran. As far as feedback from clients, which would be the veterans, I think the VA kind of has like this reputation in the community among veterans about how there's long waits, unsatisfactory service. Sometimes the VA just has kind of like a bad rep among veterans because sometimes, service time can take a while before you get connected, before you can meet with a provider. And that can be discouraging to veterans, especially if they are like in need and they need some assistance right away. So I've heard from the veterans who are the clients being served, kind of just negative feedback as it relates to, okay, I hear what you're saying. Let me communicate this to your primary care or to behavioral health. Usually it's met with a negative response from the veterans, something along the lines of, oh, they don't really care. I have to wait too long for an appointment. And those things are accurate. Sometimes that can be true. However, there is always a response and follow through from the team. So Personally, just the limited experience I've had this semester, just with communicating and collaborating with primary care and the behavioral health team, they've seemed pretty responsive to me. However, this is just a limited experience I've had the last few weeks. So there are still veterans who, are dissatisfied with the type of service they receive. But overall, I really enjoy how they have those in-house networks for communication. My work experience is in community providers, and it's difficult when you're in the community. You don't kind of have that large in-network basis to try to communicate. So I find I have a deeper appreciation for how easy it is to talk to somebody like a doctor or a nurse or something like that, especially if your veteran is presenting and they need something right away.